Alexander the Great, the boy who tried to conquer the world. He was just a boy when the whispers began. Some said he was born with lightning in his eyes. Others said the gods had marked him for something greater. His name was Alexander, son of Philip of Macedon, a kingdom so small the world barely noticed it. But one day, this boy would make the entire world speak his name. Philip was a warrior, clever and ruthless. He united Greece under his rule, but enemies surrounded him. He told his son, "To rule men, you must know them. To know them, you must see them as they are." But Alexander dreamed beyond Greece. He wanted to see everything the world could be. At 13, he met Aristotle, the greatest mind of the ancient world. The philosopher taught him about logic, reason, and virtue, but also about Achilles, the hero of Troy. Aristotle said, "Glory fades, but knowledge lasts forever." Alexander replied softly, "Then I will seek both." Pause. When his father was assassinated, the young prince stood before the Macedonian army, barely 20 years old. Many thought he'd crumble. Instead, he raised his sword and shouted, "Remember my father's dream. I will make it real." The soldiers roared his name. That roar would soon echo across 3 continents. His first enemy was the mighty Persian Empire, the greatest power on earth. At the river Granicus, Alexander led his men into the flood of enemy spears, not from behind, but in front. He fought like a storm, armor gleaming, horse screaming through arrows and blood. He nearly died that day, but victory was his. The boy had become a legend. At Issus, the Persian king Darius III fled before him, abandoning his mother, wife, and children. Alexander treated them not as prisoners, but as royalty. Even his enemies began to respect him. He was no ordinary conqueror. He was a dreamer with a sword. Then came Egypt. The people there welcomed him as a god, freeing them from Persian rule. In the golden sand, he founded a city that would bear his name, Alexandria, a city that would outlive every empire. He told his men, "Let this city be the bridge between worlds." It became the heart of ancient knowledge. But Alexander's hunger grew. He crossed deserts, rivers, and mountains no Greek had ever seen. In Persia, he faced Darius again at Gaugamela. Hundreds of thousands stood against him. But Alexander saw something no one else did, a weak point in the enemy line. He charged straight for the king. The world held its breath. Within hours, the Persian Empire, the giant of ages, was gone. When he entered Babylon, gold and silk fell before him. But he ordered the temples rebuilt, not destroyed. He wanted the conquered to feel part of his dream. He married Roxana, a woman from the east, and told his generals to marry Persian women too, to join east and west by family, not fear. He didn't want to destroy the world. He wanted to unite it. Pause. But even the brightest flame burns fast. His army marched into India, through rains that turned the earth to rivers. At the Hydaspes River, he faced elephants, giants of war, and still he won. But his men, tired and scarred, refused to march farther. They wanted home. For the first time, Alexander could not conquer. Not an empire, but the hearts of his own men. He returned to Babylon. His empire stretched across the world. He was 32 and already a god in the eyes of many. But then came the fever. He fell ill for 11 days. As death crept closer, his generals asked, "Who will rule after you?" He whispered, "To the strongest." And then silence. The world's greatest conqueror, gone before his time. When they carried his body through Asia, millions wept. But Alexander's dream didn't die. Greek ideas spread through Egypt, Persia, India, art, science and philosophy mixing with new cultures. The world became connected for the first time. That was his true conquest. Not land, but legacy. Some call him a hero, others a tyrant. But Alexander's story is a mirror for every generation. It reminds us that no empire lasts forever, and that the greatest victories are not carved in stone, but written in hearts and minds. The price of greatness. But greatness always demands a price. As Alexander's empire stretched across continents, he began to wear Persian robes and adopt their customs. Some of his generals murmured, "He's forgetting who he was." One night, drunk with pride and wine, he quarreled with his friend Cletus, the man who once saved his life in battle. In a burst of anger, Alexander struck him down. When the fury faded, he collapsed beside his fallen friend and wept. The conqueror of nations, brought low by his own rage. The army pressed eastward through endless rain and heat. At the Hyphasis River, his soldiers finally stopped. "We've followed you to the edge of the world," they said. "Now, let us see home again." Alexander rode before them in silence. For the first time, he saw their faces not as soldiers, but as men. He turned his horse around, and the march home began. Along the way, he founded new cities and schools. He told his scribes, "Write not of my victories, but of what we've learned." He wanted a world where Greeks, Persians, Egyptians and Indians shared ideas as freely as they traded gold. Even exhausted, he dreamed of unity. In Babylon, fever struck. Some whispered of poison, others of fate. Lying weak, Alexander called his generals close and whispered, "When I am gone, open the world." Then he smiled and was gone. His empire broke apart, but his vision endured. It lived in the scholars of Alexandria, in the explorers who charted unknown seas, in every mind that dared to ask why. Alexander's sword built kingdoms, his curiosity built civilization. The dream lives on. Centuries later, the dust of Alexander's marches settled, but his footprints remained. Across the deserts and the seas, the cities he founded grew into crossroads of learning. In Alexandria, the air hummed with voices from every land, mathematicians, poets, healers, each adding a thread to the fabric of knowledge. That library by the sea became a mirror of his vision, a world linked by curiosity instead of conquest. The dream did not fade with the marble statues. It moved through time, in every compass that pointed toward the unknown, in every book that carried wisdom across languages, in every young mind that refused to stop asking, what lies beyond? Alexander's story is more than history. It is a reminder that the horizon is never the end, only the beginning of another question. Closing reflection. Power can vanish in a heartbeat, but the spark of discovery survives the ages. That spark, the hunger to explore, to understand, to connect, is the truest empire humanity will ever build.